So there's been a little change of plans here with what I'm doing. I had planned on doing every bit of this project myself. Don't have you look at me too close in the eye there. And welding up the fuselage, I wanted to do as much as I could, but I found the deal that I couldn't pass up, so there's been a pretty huge change of plans. And that is that I bought this fuselage yesterday. I also found a Corvair engine, which is one of the appropriate models, and I got that at the same time from a different person. Both of these in or around Portland, though. I guess both on the outskirts of Portland. So this is the fuselage, and I'm the fourth owner of it. I feel a little bit ashamed because I wanted to do all the work myself, and here I am just buying a fuselage that's done already. But I guess I'll get over it. This actually was advertised as a Super Baby Great Lakes, but I actually think it would not qualify as a Super Baby Great Lakes. I think it would qualify just as a baby. I think it was built off older plans, and I think the guy took a few liberties. So let me just quickly go over what I've got here. I haven't measured it, but I believe this is the original length fuselage. The newer plans specify a 3-inch longer fuselage. So what I'll be doing, removing this diagonal, chopping the longerons at this point roughly, and lengthening this 3 inches. And I also believe that this Station Zero is not built according to the current plans. The one that's now that you see now, it has square tubes over these round tubes for stronger engine mount points, and some other things. I think the center maybe is built differently, and the bottom is different. I think there's a square tube directly underneath this tube. I haven't gone in and compared directly with the plans, but from what my memory is telling me, there's a number of things different about this firewall. So those will be some changes. These pedals, you can see, he mounted on the floor. The plans have a piece of metal running this way, a tube, and the rudder pedal being suspended from there, and the brakes are a toe brake mechanism integrated with the pedals, and you can see that's not the case with these at all. I may change those, I'm not sure, but that's a difference between this fuselage and what the plans specify. The plans specify a machined aluminum yoke. That's this mechanism right here, and the tube, 4130 chromoly tube would just slip over the top of it. And you can see this is just welded up steel. I'll probably machine one of those myself, and so redo that. It looks like the torque tube here just pivots on this bolt, which I think is pretty lame. The plans have a bearing here, so I may redo all this. The torque tube, put bearings in the end, machine a yoke out of aluminum. So that's quite a bit different. He's got aluminum here and a little storage compartment here. I'm not sure what I'll do with that. I'm definitely going to take this off to just to get a better look at things. It's just got a couple rivets here and a rivet there. I'll just drill those out. Now this I consider a complete and utter hack. Shoulder harness goes in there, which is pretty normal, and then you can see the cables just come back, wrap around the frame, and are held on with these guys. Camera's not focusing too well there. So to me that is a complete and utter hack, and that's coming out, and I'll redo that. The elevator, I believe the plans have cables. You can see what he did here from the bottom of the stick there underneath. He's got a rod right here, and a little transfer bar there, or whatever the term would be, and then comes back, goes through a support, and then goes back here. I'm inclined just to do it according to plans, and use cables. and you can see that's for the elevator. These cables come from the rudder pedals. This seems kind of cheesy to me. I'll probably redo this. That seems actually ultra cheesy to me. So I think I'll replace all that. Maybe cut these bars off. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the plans, but I don't think I'll probably keep that. Came with a tail wheel, which is cool. This, I guess, is a steerable tail wheel as opposed to locking. And there's full swiveling. I don't really know the nuances of the differences between those, but I'm inclined just to keep this one. It's kind of cool. He's got a metal panel. I don't know if I'll keep that or not. The cabane strut here is welded to the fuselage. The plans have it bolting in here, but looks like this is good work, so I may just leave this. I'll have to cut these off. Well, I'm not sure about both of them. I know at least one of them, maybe just the rear one. The bracket up here is completely different, and it's got the wing mount points up here, but then it's got a piece that comes down with a hole in it here, which supports the flying wire that goes to the lower wing. So you can install the lower wing to the airplane, attach the flying wire to this bracket that comes down here, and mount the lower wings independent of the upper wings. Whereas with the old design, which I guess is this design, the upper wing bolts here, and the bracket that's part of the upper wing has an attachment point right here. So you'd need to mount the upper wing, which has this bracket on it, and then the lower wing would attach to this via the flying wire. So that design is gone. So this will need to be cut off, new bracket, fabricated and welded in here. So that'll need to be changed. Came with a fuel tank, and you can see a hole here. It's a tube that runs crossways here, and there are holes in the back of it too, right here. So this would be a tube that runs this way. And the way the plans have it, you've got a bracket right here with a hole in it. So a metal plate that would be like my hand here, welded in these two spots, mounted at a 45 or so, with a hole in it. And you'd have a rod that bolts into that, threaded with a nut on the end, and that rod would go through this tube, through the fuel tank this way, bolt in over here as well. Then you'd have another rod that would go this way. So this tank is designed that way, but you can see how it's mounted. It's just got straps, top and bottom, that bolt on here. I'm guessing this is a tank made for another plane. He just bought it and mounted it this way, since these are not the appropriate location for mounting to this fuselage. He just ignored these, strapped it in. I think this is steel, but I'm not positive. I'm kind of still inclined to try to weld up one out of aluminum myself that fits the plane properly and is mounted according to the plans. But we'll see about that. I don't know. I also had planned on making the gear according to the plans, but he's got some pretty sweet spring gear on this plane. I don't remember the name of the company, but I think these are about $1,200. There's a massive amount of toe-in on these. I think mounting, 250 pounds of stuff out on the nose, engine and cowling and prop and those things. The idea is that the gear would spread out with that weight on the end, but I don't know if that's enough weight. I mean, these things are really beefy. So I don't know if I'll need to take them to a shop and have them bent so that the wheels are a little bit closer to vertical, because that's a massive amount of, I don't know if that's called toe-in or what. Toe-in maybe would be where the front of it is pointed in. I'm not sure, but you get the point. So that may need some adjustment. I also don't like at all how he mounted these. He just got a bracket that's bolted up, mounted probably 4130 tubing there, and another bolt going through here. So to me that kind of seems like a hack. I don't really like that too much. I like the idea of some, I don't know, maybe better, stronger integrated mount points and drilling holes in the gear, but maybe I'm totally off. Maybe this is the way to do it. So I'll investigate that. This just kind of looks like a hack to me. I don't know what that hole's for. So anyway, so that's an overview of this fuselage. There'll definitely be a number of changes, possibly quite a lot of changes, including some real significant ones, like at a minimum chopping the firewall off, maybe building a new firewall, or Station 0, I guess, not really the firewall. There's the firewall. I may be able to reuse that. We'll have to see how the dimensions work out. I know this engine is wider than this, but the firewall is in back of the engine. The firewall mounts here to Station 0. The back of the engine would be here, so even if the valve covers on the Corvair stick out further than the edges of that might be just fine, because the cowling would be outside the heads of the valve covers and then could curve back and maybe meet with those edges in a nice curve. So that firewall might work just fine. I think this is steel. I'm pretty sure it is, but I think that's probably a good material. I think I've read that steel is good for firewalls, so I'll probably see if I can keep that. We got tires and wheels. These are drum brakes. I might go ahead and get the magnesium wheels and the disc brakes that the kit recommends that Aircraft Spruce sells. It's a super expensive chunk of materials for this plane, but they're definitely a nice set of brakes and a nice set of wheels. No doubt about that. So I'm sure I could keep the tires though, I would assume. So we'll see about that. Wheel pants. I've got wheel pants too. Let me go in the garage. I'm chipping away on the second wing here, you can see. And I've got a lot of videos coming for that. Wheel pants. They look gargantuan, but I think they're a decent size for the plane. So that's cool. Tail surfaces. So whoever welded it up did all the tail surfaces as well. Horizontal stabilizer, elevator, and rudder. Those are all there. And of course the vertical stabilizers permanently welded into the frame. Tail post is a critical piece of the airframe, and it's welded in there. And this is offset to the left. So the offset is to help compensate for a right turning engine. My plan is to leave that and build my Corvair to spin in a direction opposite the direction that a Corvair normally rotates. Normally goes left hand, so I'll build mine to spin right hand, since there's no good reason to mess with that tail. It'd be easier just to adjust that engine, or to build the engine to spin in the appropriate direction. So that is the story, and after I'm done with the wings, I will dive into this and start working on that.